G'day, welcome to Say It With Guitars. I'm your host, Pete Cornelius. Each episode I'll be digging deep and getting to hang with some of Australia's finest guitar pickers, songwriters, producers, collectors and makers. I look forward to bringing you these fun conversations and I hope you enjoy Say It With Guitars. Hello folks, thank you very much for joining us yet again, or perhaps it's your first time to the podcast, so yeah, welcome. Hope you enjoy the next hour and a bit of our chat with Nick Wolfe from the Wolfe Brothers, a very successful Tasmanian country rock band who have just released a new single. So yeah, check out what they're up to. Also, I've just announced a mainland tour, or a Big Island tour, as we're calling it this time, for the summer months of late January and early February next year. So we're playing some great shows on the mainland, including the Thredbo Blues Festival. It's always a great time to hang out up there and see some great music in a great part of Australia. So yeah, please check out petecornelius.com for more info on all the shows and hope to see you. Before we crack into today's show, I'd like to shout out to our sponsor, Mr. Billy Tarrant from Tarrant Guitars. Billy's an amazing luthier and he makes some real sweet instruments. I'm lucky enough for him to have built me a 00 size acoustic guitar, which I've dragged all around the country and it's sounding better than ever. So yeah, check out tarrantguitars.net.au, Tassie's one-stop custom workshop for custom-made guitars, all guitar repairs and services. Let's get into the show. I'd like to welcome to today's podcast, Say It With Guitars, Mr. Nick Wolfe. Nick, how you doing?
Man, I'm very good. Great to be with you here today.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting us into your little booth of studio.
The Lair. Yeah. Well, it's not officially called the Lair, but that's the working title. Yeah. We just moved out here recently, and beyond cutting up wood and burning things and clearing stuff out, this has been my other little project, is getting this music room up and running. And I did choose the worst sounding space in the entire house, which is a good call. So had a nice extreme flutter kind of reflection going on, accompanied with like a 4 or 5K ring that accumulated.
Worst kind of ring.
It was good. So I made a few panels from the old insulation bats and Kmart tablecloths, and they've come up all right, and they seem to have done wonders. So a little more to go, but I think it's feeling pretty good.
It definitely sounds good. As soon as you walk into the space, it looks good, it sounds good. Definitely you could spend hours in here and life could just buzz away outside.
That's right. You
can head down, bum up.
We definitely intend on this is our forever home, we hope. So wanted to get it pretty good out of the box. So
nice one.
I think we made a good start.
Yeah. And definitely I think having a space you can not only make noise in, but somewhere you can do remote recordings, do some demos, or even like future recordings, like proper actual, ones that make it to records. Have you done much of that? I've seen some of your videos and things.
Yeah. In our last place in Youngtown, I had a room there. It was just a back bedroom sort of thing, and I think I've got away with my previous rooms. I've never noticed they've been bad, but it wasn't until we came in here and I'm like, this is unworkable. I think I've got away with what I've had in the room, like bookcases or like these sort of basket storage things and things like that just kind of soak, couches and the like, that soak up sound, and I wasn't even thinking about it. Yeah. I've never noticed it, but in hindsight, had I probably treated those rooms, probably would have come out a lot better. But then again, I was only ever really using like SM7s, that take out a lot of the room, and you can get away with a lot with those. So
that's the thing. I think as a consumer, or even like a home bedroom recordist, dynamic mics are your best friend.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to be picking up what's in front of them, and they're going to be rejecting a lot of the stuff that happens around that you don't get the nuances of.
Yeah.
And they're cheaper, and you don't need Phantom, and
they're definitely the SM7B is definitely one you got to have in your home recording arsenal for sure. Almost number one,
Yeah.
A lot of the vocals and stuff on the last album, Wolfe Brothers album, Kids on Cassette, we did during COVID at in Youngtown in my untreated room with the SM7. I don't have any preamps or anything like that. It was just straight into the old thing. And, but that kind of gives, the people that know what they're doing a bit more options too, because I'm sure it was later run through much better stuff. But
that's right. It's the same as grabbing guitar, like a DI guitar track. People can reamp things later. Everyone can capture a DI track so easily.
Yeah.
Having the ability to say, then put it into a really nice amp in a really nice room, nice mics, nice preamps. You can still do that. So you can capture the essence and the inspiration, I guess, at home.
Yep.
You can always send it out and get it fluffed up later on. God, what a world, man, we live in.
So cool. Yeah. That's really cool. And a lot of the stuff we recorded on Kids and Cassette, we'll use this one behind me, which is just the Deluxe Reverb Tone Master.
Yeah.
Which is direct out of the back.
Fantastic.
And I just think they're wonderful.
And you can pick that up with your little finger, right?
That's so light. So light. I haven't tried the twin, but I really want to. I reckon that'd be excellent and very. You do really notice the lightness then.
I haven't tried one, so maybe after we finish today, I wouldn't mind plugging in very quickly and having a little sample, because I see them
in the flesh. Okay, quite good, but I think the direct is where they kind of shine.
So is it a direct output from your guitar to the interface, or is it kind of go through its modelling and its?
I believe they've modelled a really really good couple of those amps.
Okay,
and then rather than generally like the amp modelling thing is hundreds of different amps and pedals put into one package, they've just thrown everything, all the processing and stuff at just doing that amp really well.
And do they emulate the cab and like a microphone
which you can turn
as well?
off. I think it's just two cab options, I believe.
Right.
Or off. I don't really know why or maybe I suppose you could do another cab. But I've just used option one, never touched it.
Yep.
And it's just always been good. I've used it live a fair bit, direct.
Yep.
And I guess the only thing I've noticed is you don't kind of get that cool kind of feedbacky thing as easily.
Yeah.
Those kind of overtones and feedback between the guitar and the amp, and that you lose a little bit of vibe like that.
Yes.
That's one of the better ones though. I actually don't notice too much of that with that amp. That's pretty good. I was using the Strymon Iridium for a while too on the Vox setting. Right. So that, for those that don't know, that just does three things, like a Deluxe Reverb, AC30 and a Marshall.
Yep.
And I just had it on the Vox, but I definitely noticed it with that pedal that you didn't get that because I wasn't using a wedge or anything.
Sure.
Maybe if I was using a powered wedge with it, probably would have helped. But I think because you can have the speaker on the Deluxe Reverb on or off.
Right.
So such a good idea. If you're playing, I think of some of the Lee Kernaghan shows we've done in the past, and a theatre. For some reason, the oldest, grumpiest people are always right in front of the guitarist.
Yeah,
that's just where they put them. And so many complaints may have been avoided had we been able to just turn this cab off with the flick of a switch and get it out of their face. We were on ears anyway.
I was going to say, we'll probably get to that, but maybe we can get to that right now. Like, you guys are running in-ear systems.
Yeah,
we've done. Was that by choice?
Done a bit of everything. So before kind of we started playing with Lee Kernaghan and got signed and all that stuff, we'd never used in-ears or clicks or any of that thing.
Yeah.
These days on the Wolfe Brothers sort of show, I'm on ears, always. That's kind of a non-negotiable now.
Yeah.
And look, as far as guitar goes, I don't like it. I'd like to just hear the amp.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to what do I value more, and that's kind of like hearing myself sing, so I can sing in tune.
Yeah.
And I've just had so many nights over the years where I haven't been able to hear myself.
Yeah.
And it's not an extravagant in-ear rig I use. It's just one of those ones you charge out of the USB, and that's a kind of we don't use that all the time, but if that's nothing else available, that gets me through.
Yep.
Yep. The other boys are on wedges usually. It just seems to be easier, just because we a lot of the time we don't have a guy with us. Sometimes we do.
Yep.
But if we're rolling into some situation we don't know, it's kind of not that hard to say, okay, well, just give me an XLR and give me the click and my
Yep.
vocals and my guitar, and I'll be right.
Yep.
You know, but yeah, we don't want to be having some guy we've never worked with set up mixes from scratch. And
Yeah.
same with the wedges too. Like the boys pretty much only ever get their vocals in the wedges, and
Yep.
you know that's a bit of sounds pretty simple, but I reckon that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give anyone. You know, I see people opening for us sometimes and having their sound checks, and they're getting the whole band through a little wedge, and then like, oh, I don't turn my vocals up. It's like, well, no,
There's nothing left.
Doesn't work like that, mate. So you know, you got to learn these things, I suppose. So I was running like my wedge for a while there. I was getting all the lows cut out of it to about 300-400.
Yep.
And like just getting it real nasty, like to the point where it would nearly take off, you know, and it wouldn't sound pleasant, but I could hear it would cut through everybody. But you know, the ears, I couldn't do it without the ears now.
Yeah,
sure. Just for vocals. But and I guess I've got used to the sound of the guitar through the ears too. But at first, definitely, not a great vibe.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I think it's a payoff, and I guess with ears as well, you've got some sort of attenuation on your ears, so you're actually protecting your ears, I suppose.
Maybe. I slam mine pretty bloody hard.
Yeah, right.
Just to get a vibe, you know. And I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but you know, it's pretty hard to get amped up when you've got, you know, really quiet, thin little tone coming into your ears.
And you've probably got 1,000 people out the front making a good noise, and the PA, the front house.
And I'm in this like isolated world, quiet. Nah, I've got to like my mix. Typically, it's just like vocals is top thing, and I usually get a lot of spill, you know, through that of crowd, other boys, room ambience, whatever. And my guitar will just sit around there, maybe slightly under, and then I just I'm loving click tracks.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So that's that way. I know the songs better than anyone that we do. Obviously, wrote them, recorded them, done them a million times. So I honestly don't really even need to hear. If everyone else disappeared off the stage, wouldn't affect me. Like I could still do the gig exactly, perfectly, and wouldn't know, which is great because so many situations we go into where the mix is never going to be right. Like you rock up, the guys don't know what you do. Yeah. It's rare that you get a mix.
And there's so many variables with
so
room.
Many variables,
Everyone's emotional state, whether your guitars have turned up or not.
And that's what I love with the click track, with the emotional state, because everyone's running on a different level of adrenaline.
Stable.
You know? Yeah. So the amount of times I would have, you know, turned around to Casey or Dave in the past and said, "Come on, speed up. What are you doing? You know, lagging." Yeah. Wouldn't have been, most likely. Yeah. You know, they were probably right on the pocket, but I was probably just nervous. You know, a bit hyped up or you know, charged up, and when I'd always see some video and stuff of gigs, and I'm like, "Geez, we were playing that fast," you know. So anyway, our whole gig now is click track.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So is the click just there to keep songs on track, or is there backing
about half and
components?
half? Yeah. So 50%, it's just to keep the tempo that we know is the pocket. Yeah. We all commit to it. Yeah. We're like, cool. There's no argument. There's no turning. No one can turn around to anyone. If you're not in time with this, you're wrong. Yeah. You know. So there's that, and then the other 50 is to use backing tracks. Like
sure.
And we don't go over the board with backing tracks. It's just things like, you know, pads and weird synthy sounds and anything weird that we can't, you know, just do
live.
Easily. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, soundscapey sort of stuff. Like, and do you have? How do you go with your set list? Like, if you are using tracks like that, do you have, say, little parts in between songs that sort of, or do you have?
Yeah, sometimes we'll put two songs or three songs together in a one kind of file, I suppose. Yeah. And then maybe we say, okay, we're doing that thing, and then we just hit the button on it, and then you treat it like one song. And there's a few things where we've made little instrumental interludes, you know, to extend, and Tom can, you know, get everyone hyped up and scream and yell over that and that sort of stuff. And it also, I've never felt more comfortable and enjoyed doing gigs as much as I have since we've been doing that, having the click track.
Interesting.
And I've got a pretty slamming in my ears, and I mean, you might think it's pretty obnoxious, like to have this talk, through your ears the entire gig, but you kind of just forget about it.
Well, I guess you know you're in time if you forget about it. If you can't hear it, you know that it's there, but you can't hear it, you know you're doing a good job.
Feels good, yeah.
Because so many people talk about, like, if you can hear the click, it's like you must be out of time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And we use like I think it's a cross stick sound.
Okay.
For our click, nothing worse than like a obnoxious, synth, dong, dong, like that.
Yeah, you don't want to pitch to it. You don't want it to get in the way of a key.
I find a nice cross stick sound. It kind of stays out of the way of all your other stuff and feels musical, feels good to play against. And I'm sure some people say, you probably shouldn't play the click tracks. You've got to be able to do it yourself. And that, for sure. But I don't know. It's works for us. I think you can do a lot against a click track anyway. You can play right on it.
Yeah.
You can sort of
go behind
pull back on it. Yeah, you can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
For the most part, we just stay right on it because we know that's what we did. Yeah. And it worked. And
and if that's how you record the tracks too, like maybe we could talk about that briefly now. So are you pulling up stuff from the album to be as part of your backing track?
Yeah.
Or are you recreating that, or are you?
Usually it's just stems from the. We don't run like a very complex thing. It's just one mono track where I just kind of do a mix of whatever we're using in complete. Maybe there's a big gang vocal shout thing or something like that. That'll be in the same track as the synth, and try and keep the percussion out of it. I find that doesn't really sit.
Yeah.
If you're getting shakers and tambourines, it's hard for. Again, if we roll into a show and the sound guy doesn't know and he's slamming this track, we always say, look, the track is background, keep it right back, But, we literally had one guy like, yeah, mate, the backing track, it's just thickener, just keep it right down out of the way. He's like, yeah, it sounds like it needs to be really up. I'm like, cool. Yeah, so you really meet some interesting sound guys along the way. But
you got to keep them on your side.
You sure do.
But you also have to wonder, a lot of them survive.
I swear, sometimes we like, a simple phone app could tell you what frequency is screaming its head off through this PA constantly. But okay,
Yep.
So that's fine.
Oh well, it's only an hour out of your time.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Hour of your life. And maybe hearing loss afterwards, but anyway.
That's right, yeah. Oh, some of the feedback, bursts that happen at sound checks when a channel gets opened, like I've never actually the loudest thing I think I've ever heard was the other week. We're playing at Melton in Victoria. Done the gig, great gig, and we were taking a few photos, doing all that sort of stuff after the gig, and the mixing desk was in the centre of the room, sort of thing. And anyway, all of a sudden, just this deafening feedback that it was so loud it seemed to occupy like all frequencies. I don't even remember like what sound it was. Wow. It was so loud, like people nearly like hit the floor. It was that loud. And anyway, some drunk woman had going, put the tunes on, just walked up to the desk and just started like pushing buttons. And somehow, I think she managed to erase our guy's file as well.
What?
So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, you meet some wonderful people in music, but you also definitely meet some characters.
Yeah. Oh, but that's what it's all about. Ebbs and flows,
Absolutely.
You've got to have your highs with your lows.
Totally.
Go have some stories to tell.
Absolutely.
So speaking of stories, you guys have had a flat out year or two. You've had, you brought out the Kids on Cassette record and planned to tour it, and then the whole, itchy
pretty
throat
much
cough thing got around and wiped out everyone's calendars.
And it's frustrating. I feel, we've been fortunate. We've been definitely back into it, smashing it. Hundreds of gigs, but so many gigs this last year, and it feels really good. I feel like we're building it back up again, but just the timing of that kind of COVID hitting really, really knocked the wind out of our sails. We had some great things happening right on that moment. We just signed to BMG in Australia and Broken Bow Records in Nashville, and then Nashville team was coming out to Australia for CMC Rocks. We were releasing the single No Breaks. There was talk of like we're going to be on the Sydney Harbour Bridge on a yacht having a party, all this stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And anyway, then COVID happened, and we haven't been able to take really too much advantage of having that kind of deal with that mega record company. So, but I think the worst thing for me is we were hitting a real momentum touring. We'd just built the upper circuit around Australia, going to venues. You go there the first time, maybe there's 20 people. You go there the next time, maybe there's, 70.
Yeah.
And it's just building it like that and slogging it out. And I think we were just starting to get those good numbers, and then kind of no gigs, and then you're not out there going back, out of sight, out of mind. It's you got to maintain those touring circuits, So
and had you guys not just financially invested, but you invest mentally, and you plan for that sort of stuff, right? So maybe you've got a manager or a tour agent, or you've sort of upped your game, right? So like with getting busier, you up your people that you hire around you, to your publicist or things like that. So all of a sudden you've got, I don't know the deal, and I don't need to know the deal, but I mean, like, so you've got bills, like you still got to pay for this future investment, but you're not actually getting to financially reap anything.
Yeah. And
how did you guys like mentally go okay with that, or did you like?
Not really. I mean, we just definitely struggled mentally, and I think a lot of that was the lack of. I didn't even see Tom for months because I was up here in Launceston and he was down Hobart.
Yeah,
we couldn't even see each other for months. That's the first time in our lives.
Yeah,
let alone the tribal aspect of the boys. We go out, get in a van, go on a big adventure, overcome some challenges every weekend of, we got a flat tire or whatever it is, and the bag's got lost or your guitar's not here or your amp broken. You get through whatever's this thing together.
Yeah. And
that was just gone. We're just sitting at home.
Yep.
And not to mention, thinking like, well, how are we going to live?
Yeah.
So, I mean, thankfully, I guess we had, pretty good, in some ways, program in Australia with JobKeeper and all those sorts of things, and we were able to get a bit of help through there. But a lot of the contractors and things like that, sound guys, or caterers and things like that go and do festivals and bad
staging,
luck, staging,
lighting guys,
exactly,
audio engineers, and
these are all our friends and
riggers, and
it's just horrid. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and then now, in the last couple of days, it's like we don't even have to isolate or do anything.
Yeah.
So, like the mental health strain on everyone. And, I actually sort of went and saw someone for the first time ever. Definitely brought out some things in me that I didn't really know what they were. I was waking up, feeling like someone had jumped out and scared you, your heart, extreme sort of anxiety kind of thing. But so you learn. But
you do. And look, to be honest, for me personally, I think it was a great thing. A lot of negatives come out of it.
Yeah.
But so many positives, I think, for me, in a health perspective, it was like a forced stop, because you sort of start this snowball effect, right? You sort of want to build your business up. You want to build your branding or your playing or your networking. You just want to like get better at everything. So all of a sudden, to force that to stop and then to like reevaluate what is important in your life, that was so good for me. Like, I know that I could see I see my family a lot. Like I I've been stay-home dad for like 10 years. So I've hung out with my kids like every day of my life pretty much.
Yeah.
But to just spend that proper like all day, every day with your family, and as soon as things got a bit eased up, you know, you can go and see your brother or your sister or your parents or, you know, like that sort of stuff. So it's sort of, to me, it's great. Like music was it really is important to me. It's like, it's my life. But it also made me realise that there are a lot of things that are associated with music that can just like bugger off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, blessing and a curse, hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish, you know, we were as productive as we could be. We finished off Kids on Cassette, got that out, you know, a lot of remote stuff. And
you guys live streamed a lot too, right?
That was really cool too.
Yeah.
That was a good thing. And like people still, you know, every gig basically like, oh, when are you going to do the live thing? And we're like, oh, well, we'd love to. It was great. But, you know, we're out here with you now.
That's
and,
right.
You know, the couple of days we have at home every week, we kind of just like to, you know, chill out and not have to do that. But I think we will bring that back in some capacity at some stage. But that was really cool to be able to kind of still connect with everyone. And, you know, we had a lot of cool guests come on that little live stream we had going, you know. Jack Jones was a hero of Tom and I, who ended up through that playing on Downtime on the album.
Wow.
And that was like, I still can't believe that happened, you know.
Yep.
The guys from Low Cash, they were on there. Who else do we have? Ross Wilson.
Cool.
Yeah, all these sort of heroes, like this is awesome. We had the singer from Warrant.
Oh, really?
Who, you know, I'm a bit of a hair metal fan, you know, so that was a big one for me.
I did notice a Warrant
post
from the piano over there.
Little signed Warrant black and white photo here. That, just to remind me that that's part of my heritage.
Part of your DNA.
Yeah. Actually, my favourite guitarist, one of my favourite guitarists, is the guy that played on all the Warrant stuff. And his name escapes me because he's not actually in Warrant.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
His session guy played.
Yeah. And there was sort of some ambiguity about what he played, but you can hear who he is. Because I remember I heard the Angry Anderson song, Bound for Glory. We were doing a couple of shows with Angry, so I had to learn it. And then solo came on. I'm like, oh, sounds like Warrant.
Yeah.
You know, and then looked into it and was that guy. And so he was sort of a guy, a bit of a hired gun that got around LA back in the day, and you know, they busted him out when they weren't too happy with what was going down in the studio, but made some very memorable melodic, because a lot of that stuff in hair metal, like, it's just horrendous, you know.
Yeah, just throwaway bloody.
Yeah, but I think Warrant get a bad name because of Cherry Pie, but a lot of their other stuff's really killer for that sort of thing, and you know, really good songs and really memorable singable solos, and we got to actually see them last time we were in Nashville. We drove down to Chattanooga, playing down there, and you know, we sort of pulled the card like, oh, there's a band here from Australia and they love you guys and we'd love to meet you, and went backstage and met them. It was just one of the best nights of my life.
That's
amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That sort of stuff that goes with you forever, hey? Like just those little memories.
So cool. And because you sort of forget about that's sort of where I was into, you know, grade 10, grade 11 kind of thing, like fully into hair metal. Like we just loved it. Me and Brody, we had a band, 5150.
Right.
And, you know, I think did the rock challenge, and we're doing harmonised solos and wearing eyeliner and all that sort of stuff, and just loved it, you know.
That's wicked.
So it really, you know, when I walked into that room, saw Warrant, you know, with the massive banners and just like, wow.
Yeah, throwback.
How good's this? You know, I was just transported back to, you know, the fruit pickers' huts at Mum and Dad's place, jamming with all my mates and Brode and Tom and everyone, playing Warrant and Poison and all that stuff back in high school. And it's good. That's at the moment, I'm sort of like, I haven't heard anything for a while. I haven't tried too hard to find, but I'm waiting for the next kind of my next fad.
Sure.
If that makes sense, you know, I get into something, I really get into it, and I like to, you know, go through the entire discography, and you know, but I haven't had an artist that I've discovered for a while. It's all been a bit
right.
oh yeah, and that's when I'm finding I write a lot of songs. If I really get into like something new, that'll kind of really inspire me to write more. But yeah.
Maybe could we talk a bit about your history with playing with your brother Tom and Brody, and maybe so I had a little look on the old wiki page yesterday. 4 generations of musicians. So your great grandfather, was he a fiddle player?
That's right. So 4 generations of farmers and musicians. So great grandfather George Wolfe, he was a fiddle player.
Yep.
I believe, long passed away before we were around. And then his son, Ernest Wolfe, he was a bit of a jack of all trades. Sax was his main thing. Okay. But he played a bit of everything. Did sort of vaudeville style, comedy, bit a few popular tunes of the day. He's a bit of an entrepreneur, I think. He had a school bus run, so he would pick everyone up, take them to the local dance, play with the Wolfe family orchestra, charge them all. I think he's selling a bit of homemade grog too, along the way, and then drop him home. So he was he did pretty well, I think, out of that. But and then Dad was a drummer around Tassie for his entire life. He was in a band called Midnight Revival. They had a couple of original things early days, but mainly known as a cover band. Yep. And then I guess I probably wanted to play drums first off because Dad played drums, and they're cool when you hit them. You hit them, and it's awesome.
Primitive tribal vibes.
Dad's like, no, you're not playing drums. No, you got to be out the front. And he said that to Tom as well. So we ended up on bass and guitar and a bit of piano here and there. But
cool.
Yeah, so...
And did you guys play with your dad? Like, did he sort of give you some...
we did a little bit, yeah. So I played with Dad for a couple of years whilst I was in high school, I think, maybe grade 9, 10-ish. Yep. And it was kind of weird because it was pretty old stuff they were playing a lot of the time. It was awesome, very treasured memories, and learn a lot just about what it's like to just go and do a lot of gigs, So I think I'd and I think I realised then, I was really into guitar then too. Like, I was probably practicing. One stage I was trying to do a thing where I'd learn like classical for an hour and then do the Tommy Emmanuel video steel string for an hour, and then like something some weird thing for an hour on electric, and all that stuff. I was right into it. And then I think that's probably the first time I'd realise, like, you do all that stuff in the bedroom, and then you get out on the stage, and then what sticks is only about 20% of that.
Yeah.
So and then I ended up going to the con. And doing Bachelor of Music and Bachelor of Teaching. Yeah, right. I was teaching a bit of guitar at the Hobart College of Music, and I got a bit all burnt out on it. Yeah. Teaching and then going and learning how to teach, and kind of dropped out. And then I went and worked on a farm for a few years, and then I went back and did it a bit more. And then our band, as we know it today, kind of took off, and I've got one unit to go for my degree, which is musical performance.
Yeah, right. Keep at it, son.
So, So, I mean, I'm hoping one day they might, give me a sign-off or something.
Yeah, they might go, he's done a few gigs.
Yeah, I hope so. But I'd like to have that. I'd love to have that bit of paper, be a good accomplishment. I remember, sitting through the classical theory, things, and definitely learned a bunch out of it.
Yep. I guess it's the kind of stuff you don't really think about until later. Yeah. Go, wow, that's been really beneficial. Or I've learnt such and such from that. Whereas at the time, it's like, what am I doing this crap for?
Look, a lot of the things like the audio classes, and I think that was at that time they were pretty new, like as part of the degree. Yeah. And Stuart Long and Tony Sayer, and I loved that so much, and there's things that they taught me, that I still use all the time. Loved all that, and even like I don't really play any jazz anymore. I think that was my thing. I wasn't prepared for how jazz
Yep.
it was going to be.
Yep.
I thought I was just going to get through by playing slash licks and stuff.
Yeah.
But so and everyone seemed like they already knew jazz.
Right.
And I'm like, autumn leaves. What?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
So I was sort of just a bit of a fish out of water.
Yep.
But I'd love to knock that degree over one day. It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So there we go. But
so did you and Tom play as brothers, or did you kind of take separate paths as kids, or?
Well, so we had different things. Like Brody and I had a band, 5150, playing hair metal and stuff in college. Tom and Casey, they would get together. Casey lived on Wolfe's Road, just up the road. So they would get together and, play a lot of Metallica in those days. That was kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And then kind of as we kind of got older, Keith Urban was really happening, like the Golden Road album and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, wow. This country stuff's actually pretty good.
Yep.
Because early days, Mum was very into country. James Blundell, Lee Kernaghan, Billy Ray Cyrus, the early 90s, Garth Brooks, when it was really, really commercially big. You'd hear it on mainstream radio in Australia. And I remember my first concert was James Blundell. Yeah, so I think that kind of got into the DNA somehow, and eventually it's like, country's, maybe metal isn't, everything.
Yeah.
Maybe there are other things. But we've always been pretty open, We've always played a bit of blues. We're lucky to have great teachers at Kingston High, like Lee Crombie.
Yep.
Oh God, Matt Collis used to teach me for a while, and just awesome. Jason Patmore was my first teacher. He was, a guy who played around Hobart for many years, and just been very, very lucky to have such great teachers that, put me onto the right things. They'd lend me Stevie Ray CDs or Hendrix things, and filled in a lot of gaps that Mum and Dad wouldn't. I'd be like, oh, what's you listen to Hendrix days? Like, oh no. Yeah. Too bloody weird. Yeah. So, really, really lucky to have those guys along the way.
Yeah. Definitely great pillar stones in people's early careers is just that influence from mentors or someone who can show you an artist that, like you said, you wouldn't have heard at home. Maybe your friends haven't heard them. It's not about listening to everything either. It's just showing you things that probably will be really beneficial if you're going to play guitar.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Check that out. You have to like it. Just listen to it and go,
And, and I guess I just would have thought, and they are, but I just thought they were the coolest guys, Yeah. Teaching people guitar. I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
Great players. And Jeremy Matcham, he was another teacher, and I remember one day walked down into the music block at Kingston High and he's got the PA going. He's got like an Ibanez gem.
Right.
And he's playing along to a backing track of like some Satriani thing.
Right.
And we were just like, whoa. Just thought that was like, he was God,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, really, really cool.
The gem. Wow. I was listening to a podcast on the way here today about iconic guitars, and that was pointed out as being one of the most iconic guitars, especially that sort of, must have been early 90s they come out?
Yeah.
With that handle in them?
Yeah. Yep. I've
and
always
floral
wanted one.
inlay on the fretboard.
I've always wanted one. The closest I've got is that Charvel over there, which I just bought, a couple of years ago, just so I could do a bit of shredding, if ever the vibe got me,
For hair metal.
I barely ever touch it, but that's pretty nice. It's got the gold hardware, white.
Yeah. It's like a 24 fret.
Yeah. So that doesn't get much of a run, but it's just a bit of, that's if I ever want to play a bit of Warrant and do all that stuff. So
it's good to have tools in your arsenal that inspire certain ways of playing, because
absolutely,
you can do a lot on a Strat or Telly, but to be able to pick that up straight away, you can play that stuff much
for me.
easier.
And I don't know whether it's, I guess it's a combo of everything, but it's definitely the this sounds really lame, but I think it's how you think you look and sound holding a certain style of guitar.
Sure.
Like, I mean, anyone who gets a Strat, you grab a Strat, and you play those sort of Hendrixy, well, they are Hendrixy, but John Mayer things.
Yeah,
that's what you do on a Strat. Yeah,
it just feels right.
Yeah,
the sound's there. You stick it on the neck pickup or in between.
Yeah.
Bang! You've got the Wind Cries Mary there.
That's right. Yeah, and then like tellies, they just twang.
Yeah,
straight away. And like, oh yeah, this is country straight out of the box.
Yeah.
I haven't dabbled too much into the Les Paul world. I had an Epiphone one for a while there, but that again, that would make you think you were Slash for an hour.
I saw a video of you guys within a Les Paul.
Oh really?
It must be like a pretty old video.
Oh,
I think you had like a sunburst Les Paul.
Yeah, that's
was that just a one for the shoot? Or?
Yeah, well, it was actually one of our neighbours that. Yeah, I was like, oh, it'd be cool. Can I borrow your guitar, John? He's like, yeah, it's just under the bed. Yeah. I'll never use it. So yeah, they're not mine. That's a really nice guitar, that one.
I was going to say, I've never heard you on a Les Paul, but I could sort of see it working in a certain way, like if Brody's is a Strat guy.
Yeah, I'm typically a Strat guy, but then I've sort of gone the Gretches too. That was kind of a world I went down. Yeah, and it's always it can be a challenging world, but it's a rewarding world when they're singing right,
Yeah, they're a labour of love.
Yeah,
they've definitely got a huge appeal.
They look fantastic. They're incredible. They're beautiful. And every photo, it's a very photo-driven world these days. Every photo you get back, you're like, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
But my favourite guitar is that one, which is just a blue Mexican Strat. Got it in college.
Tell us about that one, mate.
So that was now I did trade one that I wish I still had. I traded a Japanese Squire.
Okay, it sold us.
Not sold us. I think it was a McCann's one, actually. Yeah. No, I never did a trade. It sold. I nearly bought a Kramer, and Dad's like, "Oh no, you're buying it from there."
Right, blacklisted.
So, that was close, but no, yeah. So that's just been my kind of number one. From it's the unfortunate thing. It's like a blue, but it's from.
Is it a burst? It kind of looks like it's slightly darker on the edges, or is
I
that
think
just?
It's just how it is. But I wish, obviously the pick guard's gone all brown, and that's looking cool, and the frets are looking pretty worn, and it's got a few dings and stuff, but they just don't age cool now. Like whatever they did to the paint, I don't know what they did, but I wish it. Wish it had like a big rub mark because I've put so many hours on that guitar. I wouldn't even want to know how many hours I've played that for and stuff, And I still take that out most of the time. But
you're right though. The change in paint technology, like going, I guess, from nitro to a 2-pack or just a different sort of style of paint, they clear coat is just so bulletproof.
Yeah, that's what. Geez, it'd been 20 years old.
Yep,
I suppose.
Yeah, and it still shines. Like it looks like,
Yeah. If you cleaned it up,
yeah.
Which is that's not what I want. I want it to show the hours that have gone and the miles it's done because it's done so many miles.
That's right. You want to wear it on your shoulder, and and it needs to age with you as well. Like we all age gracefully, and your guitar should too.
That's right, absolutely. So I haven't got any and you know what? I don't really have any real what you would call good high quality guitars. I think I've got an American telly there.
Yeah,
but most of my stuff's Mexicans and Korean.
Yep.
But a lot of that's been just, we're out every week. They're getting thrown in and out of planes. They're getting thrown in and out of vans. They're hot. They're cold.
Yeah.
Like, touch wood, I've never had one smashed, but you take your life into your hands every time you go to the airport.
Yeah.
Horrendous. You see them throw them. I don't know why.
Oh, God, I hate looking out those windows.
Oh, they throw them,
Yep.
So I literally saw one time a guy, I was sitting near the belt where it was going into the plane, and here comes all looking out the window, here we go. And he looked at the tour plaque thing that was on the guitar, and it's like, Lee Kernaghan, beautiful noise to it. Yeah. And literally just like dumped it into the thing. That's obviously not a fan. But so a lot of it, I try and keep it pretty simple, and if it did get broken or stolen or something, wouldn't be the end of the world. I'd hate to lose that blue one. Yeah, that'd be a nightmare.
It's a risky business. I know that it's a catch-22, right? Like, you have a nice, beautiful instrument. It's probably worth lots of money. It probably plays great, sounds great, but you can get too scared to use them, because it's like, this thing's going to break, it's going to get stolen, or there's so many risks that go.
Like some of the gigs, like we've done a lot of BNS balls over the years, and for those who don't know what they are, they started out in the olden days as ways for like country people to get together and meet potential partners. And it was very formal, black tie, that sort of thing. And over the years, that's progressed into just the most raucous thing, like, of all time. Still black tie, but people take food dye and throw it at each other, and it's just like hard drinking, utes with fire, coming out of the exhausts, and like I've seen things, at these events that like
probably stories you never want
to
think about,
war crimes sort of thing, real wild stuff. But like, we got to go and play these things. Imagine rocking up with like a drum kit with like an unfinished wood grain or something, like see you later. We're just covered in food dye,
mud.
Like like every time we do one, for months we'll play and we'll start sweating a bit, and then there'll be, where's this green and blue like fluid coming from, and just comes out. It seeps into the guitars and comes out when things get a bit heated up. So
that's classic.
And then pedals, for years I've just kept my pedals really as simple as I possibly can. At the moment I'm using a thing built by Laurie Minson, who played with Slim Dusty, played with Lee Kernaghan for many years. Great harp player as well. He's been on a lot of things, a lot of Jimmy Barnes stuff as well. I thought he was
steel too, right?
I thought he was the guy that played the start of Driving Wheels.
Right.
On lap steel, but no.
Right.
He confirmed that it wasn't him recently, but he did that live for a long time, I'm told. So, but he builds pedals as well. So he's built a multi-effects kind of line, and it's the.
I like how he names everything like.
Like Australian.
Yeah, things. Australian animals and things.
So the one I use is called an M8 mate, and it's compressor, and that's just on off.
Right.
All the pedals, you can take the bottom off the unit and
little dip switch,
sort of screwdriver them and dial them in where you want. But this is what I love about it. Normal mode is you just have one knob for each pedal.
Great.
And the amount of stress and stuff that alleviates just committing that, right, I've got one knob. They're big. You can move them with your foot. And I'm like, well, that's what it is, and we're doing the gig, not going to piss fart around and
tap dancing,
or
micromanage knob placements.
It's basically a compressor into an overdrive tube screamery type thing called the Dingo, maybe, and then into a more aggressive one. I think that's called the Dingo. I can't remember what the other one's called.
Right.
Then what do we got? The Wobby Gong, which is like a uni-vibe type thing. Don't really use that one too much. I would love, personally, if you made that slot an old phaser, like an old Waylon Jennings.
Script 90 sort of thing. Or,
like that would be awesome. And then you got your two knobs for delay, feedback and mix. You got a tap tempo down the end.
Like a tremolo or anything?
Tremolo. I missed tremolo. Tremolo, that's pretty good. Again, you can get in and adjust how aggressive it is and stuff, but the main knob's just speed.
Perfect.
And then the cool thing at the end is it's a boost. So if you have it at 12 o'clock, it's doing nothing.
Right.
If you have it on at below 12 o'clock, let's say 10 o'clock, something like that, and this is how he recommends you use it. You have the volume you're getting by putting your drives on and stuff. If you have your boost on, but it's at 10 o'clock, it's actually lowering the volume to match where the amp was to start with.
Right.
So then when you do a solo, you take that off.
It's like a reverse boost.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's pretty cool, but I usually end up...
It's more.
I end up,
more.
usually end up by the end of the year it's smashed around to max.
Yeah.
So
It's on 12.
yeah, so that's about how that goes, but good in theory.
Yeah.
But the thing I like about that pedal is it's really for multi effects. They're real quality.
And they're all
sounds.
analog, right? It's just analog. It's one power.
Yep.
You're not trying to get like pristine power or isolated power to do all these different pedals.
No.
It's like in, out,
So simple.
on the road. Let's do the gig.
And indestructible. I reckon you could run over it.
Yep.
And it would be fine. Actually, and he did tell me one was in a house fire recently.
Right.
And the knobs are melted, but it still went.
Sweet.
Well, how good's that?
That's fantastic.
You know, like so. I mean, yeah, you're not gonna bust it.
Yep.
You know, someone's dancing and steps on
falls
it
on
or
it,
something. Yeah,
spills a pint
you're
of
going to
beer
be
in it.
right.
Sweet. And where does he sell them? Just through his website or his
I think
Facebook?
so. Yeah. Just Facebook and all
They
that
seem
stuff.
to be pretty popular in that country community. Like, I don't think he's branched out too much. I know that I have seen other blues guitar players play them.
Yeah.
But mainly for that convenience factor. It's like, I'm going to do a fly gig.
Yeah.
It's going to fit him a gig bag, or it's going to fit him an overhead, no worries.
Exactly.
Whereas, when you get dealing with individual pedals and stuff, it's
yeah.
a nightmare. I saw you when we did the Festival of Voices show. You had another pedal there. You had another digital style.
Yeah, I thought I'd
pedal
bust that
rig.
one out. Yeah,
Tell me
that
about
was that was a Moore red truck.
Right.
And the reason I busted that out is we were doing a song by Devils in Heaven, who are like a Tasmanian hair metal band.
Yeah.
From back in the day. So I thought I needed a little bit more gain and a little bit more, a little bit more metal under the hood for that one. And the old lorry pedal didn't quite get me there. So that was really, I used that for a lot of years though too. Like, not for heavy stuff, but for that's the cool thing about that one is you can set up a similar thing. I think that one's got a boost, a drive, a distortion, and then it's got phaser, chorus, flanger, that sort of stuff, delay, reverb. You can either use it as you use them like as if they were stomp boxes on the thing.
Yep.
Or you can set your scenes.
Gotcha.
I love that.
Yep.
Because I could just make my delay, my solo, drive, and whatever compressor all come on with one tap.
Yep.
And when you're singing,
that's
what you want.
I had a podcast interview with the Luca Brasi boys, and they're doing the same thing. They're all using Helixes.
Yeah.
With in-ears, and they just cue it up to their set list. They pre-program it. Next song, bang. They've pressed that one button.
That's
They've
unreal.
got all their tones ready for that song. So things like that. If you're singing, the convenience is insane because you don't have to think about placement.
It's hard. You're singing, you're trying to look cool, you know, and then you got to somehow sing, look cool, and then turn on 3 pedals as the solo starts and you're still singing. That's hard. That's actually hard, Yeah. I know, guys like Keith Urban, the tech does these scene changes or whatever.
Yeah.
We're a long way from that level.
And you're using an acoustic guitar a lot live too, right? So
I haven't been lately, but I have.
How do you integrate that? I noticed you've got one of those LR bags. Is it M1?
Yeah,
pickup in your Fender.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, and I reckon they would make just about any acoustic guitar sound amazing. Those things, great.
Do you blend it with the onboard? Pickup?
All that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And
just go straight to the board, like through a DI? Or
I was using a Fishman Platinum EQ DI thing for a while, which is a really cool pedal. I think it got destroyed at a rodeo or something. It pissed down with rain and it never was the same. I think it still goes, but it's not I can't rely on it.
Not what it used to be.
But actually, that pulled a really good bass sound one night. It does bass as well. It's just a flick of a switch. It must kind of change an EQ curve somewhere.
Sure.
And Tom's amp died, and I was playing electric. I'm like, oh, plug into that.
Yeah.
And he just plugged in, and like, it just instantly, it was like just through the PA, through this thing, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So they're a good pedal, but yeah. And then I was using the Acoustasonic for a while there too, but I've kind of gone back to just playing electric for now. I didn't mind the Acoustasonic.
I guess ideally they're the best of both worlds in theory, right? Like because they've got
I never use it.
Style
I never use it as an electric. I still have my amp. What it was exceptional for though, was not being an absolute pain in the ass with feedback.
Yep.
Like it just made life so easy.
Yeah.
And they didn't really have to EQ it or do anything. You just plug it in because it's a modelled acoustic sound.
Yep.
You plug it in, it sounds good.
Yep.
Which is really cool.
Whereas, I guess
half the time with acoustics, there's wedges and
absolutely,
just a nightmare.
Yeah,
like, I've never had really a good experience with acoustic and wedges.
Especially if you're playing with a loud rock band with a big stage.
Yeah.
They just
as soon as the volume goes up,
long environment.
That's game over.
Yeah. Even with in-ears, it's tough work.
Yeah. The in-ears make it a lot better, but still things build up, and it's usually Thomas Bay. I know that red acoustic I was using, the Fender one. I can't remember what they're called. With the Strat headstock acoustic.
Is it something like the Coronado?
That's very close.
Coronado, because they made the thing in the 60s.
It's very close. It's a Redondo, I believe. Like a Californian beach or something.
Redondo classic.
Yeah. That would really start to scream around a G, like a low G. And as soon as Tom would play anything around there, it would just latch onto that and just. I'm sure that wasn't a G.
Yeah,
but,
I'll go with that. That's nice, G. So you guys have put out a few records before. So you guys put out an EP before you went on the Australian Got Talent show?
So the sort of first lineup of Wolfe Brothers as a band was Tom, me, Brody also on guitar, and Casey Kostyuk on drums, and we all went to school together, lived locally, and we actually started with another guy singing, Tom Colson, and then sort of Tom had a bit of a break for a while there, and we kind of pushed on, but we were mainly a cover band,
right?
We'd just play. Well, I remember one of our goals was like, if we get a gig at Irish Murphy's Hobart, we've made it,
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we did something else, but then we thought, and then we were getting more and more into country, and then we started writing our own songs, and they were coming out country, I mean, we're country boys, so makes sense, I suppose. But then we thought, well, let's record a little EP. So we did it at Casey's house with Tony Sayer.
Cool.
And he brought, it's either, I don't know if it's a clone or an actual matchless, but it sounded bloody amazing. And I think I was using a Squire that I'd put some different pickups in. I still love the sound on that one. Really, really cool. So then we did that, and then we did another one. Then Australia's Got Talent happened, and which reluctantly for us, none of us wanted to go on it. We were just like, nah.
So how did that come about? You guys just like...
Well, since we started doing the EP, we were looking to get more and more, trying to get gigs and festivals and stuff on the mainland and different things, and we just couldn't get arrested, They're like, well, why are we going to pay a band to come up from Tassie, like, when we've got, all these other bands that do this all the time up here? So it was hard, a bit of a hard slog. So we kind of had working with a manager at the time who was in Sydney, and she said, Australia's Got Talent reached out. I think they go into an area, and then they're like, we hear you guys, got a bit of hype around you or whatever, and would you like to audition? No, we don't want to do that sort of thing. And then, our manager convinced us, do it. And, who knows? It might just help me book you some stuff on the mainland. And, but look, they're actually really, really good to us. And, a lot of those shows can just be a karaoke contest. They let us play almost all original songs.
Yep.
On national, you
Yep.
know, primetime telly.
Yep.
And those shows sort of had a bit more sting back in those
Yeah.
times too, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like they've kind of lost their.
Was this
way,
2012?
12, yeah,
Yep.
2012. So, you know, I think they managed to do one cover,
Yep.
but that was something we were playing all the time anyway. Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, and we
Yep.
snuck in a little Pantera Cowboy, some Helvig into it there, and you know that was nice too. Because then you get the guys like, oh yeah, look, he's done Pantera. Yeah. So, but through that we ended up coming runners up.
Yeah.
And that's you know, that kind of got assigned to our management, Steve White, who you know, thank God for Steve and Brogan and that team have kept us rolling. And
you're still with those guys
yeah.
to this day? Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And then Steve also manages Lee Kernaghan. So Lee sort of saw us on the show, and
Right.
he was looking for a band at the time too. And it all kind of worked out. And
Yep.
Steve's like, well, let's put this tour together. You guys be the band. You open the show, do
Yep.
your own stuff,
Yep.
have a break, come back on, play Lee's stuff. And we were playing half of Lee's stuff at rodeos and that anyway.
Yep.
But when that opportunity came up, we had to do like an audition, and we just like went into like the most intense rehearsal
Yeah.
lockdown like ever. And we were just like religious. Like we're like, we are doing this.
Yep.
You know, and we just locked ourselves in Casey's room for days and learnt every single thing that might come up in a Lee set.
Yep.
And we were it's like we were prepping for like
a title fight or something.
yeah, it was wicked. You know, we were just smashing it, and we
Yep.
got it all down, and then we flew to Sydney. We'd never really been to Sydney at that point. And you know, we're like, oh wow, this is really full on. A bloke picked us up at the airport and
Yeah.
in a van and took us to the rehearsal thing down at Marrickville there, and
Yeah.
set up, and you know, we started running a few things, and then we're like, oh, Lee must be coming soon, you know. And we hadn't met Steve, so Steve's managing us at this point. Haven't met him in person yet.
Right.
Haven't met Lee, and we're like, oh, you know, is he going to be wearing his hat? Like, what, you know, what's going to go on here?
Yeah.
And they came, and we met him, all good, and then I think we played one song. We played a song called Dirt, and I was kind of like looking around at everyone. Starts playing. Case is like playing the shit out of the groove. I was feeling good. Case and Tom, you know, locking it down.
Yeah.
Brode like nails the solo album perfect. I'm doing my thing, and then we finished that, and Lee's like, "Oh boys, that's bloody good. I reckon you got the job." And that was it. And then
one song.
And now and then he's like, "Yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, we don't need to do any more." We're like, "Oh, we better better do one more."
We've been practicing like months.
just do one more. So we did another one, and then we're like, no, that's all good. And now 10 years have gone by.
That's
and
amazing.
Had some of the most fun, amazing, fantastic, bloody lovely times. You know, out there doing that. So,
and what a great way to not only promote what you guys do as a band and as songwriters and as a unit, but to also to go alongside someone who's been around for a long time, who has the respect and the you know, he's got the crowd. He's got the
mate, it's been like
as a learning curve, like that would have been
amazing. Absolutely incredible. Such a great way for us to go around, build our fan base, also learn the trade from, you know, the guy at the top of the tree.
Yeah.
And just so good to see now, to this day, you know, how much he's still fired up and very attention to detail, knows exactly what he wants to do.
Right.
Like I've, you know, done a fair bit of writing with him now, and you know, normally the country writes kind of go like, you know, we're in a room together for 3 hours, we write it, we're pretty much going to finish it, and that'll be it. But Lee, that's not the case.
Yeah, right.
It's you know, you might do 6 hours and might just scrap it, might get one thing from it, but he knows exactly what he wants to achieve. It's really good to see, and you know, just the dedication to making his fans see a great show.
Sure.
And all that stuff. To this day, it's just killer.
Yep.
You know, it's been so good.
Yep.
And we were pretty scared too because a lot of the guys in his previous band, we were kind of taken over for were the big guns. You know?
I was going to say, how did it feel coming at it from a band who, like, you've been playing for a while and you've all very good at your instruments, but
never used click tracks, never used backing tracks. Or
it would have been a scary transition going.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you've got like sold out theatres or massive festivals and things like that, and you've got all these songs you've only played in a rehearsal room, or maybe you've done a couple of rehearsals with. Like, it would have been like some pretty big shoes to step into.
Yeah,
right?
really
like,
crazy. You know, like Laurie Minson, who made me pedal. He was in the band.
Yep.
You know, and we're good mates with all these guys now. But you know, at the time, it was probably
I would have been intimidating.
Yeah, oh, very much so.
Yeah.
You know, guys would really respect. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the first gig we did with Lee was the Denny Ute Muster. So you're looking at 18,000 people. A festival. You know, no sound check, just get out there and do it.
Yeah.
So that was really a baptism of fire. Nothing went too wrong, you know. Kind of got through it all. At that time, everyone in Lee's band had to wear the headset mics.
Oh, right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
Which Lee does. I don't know how he does that. But yeah, after that Denny gig, that was scrapped because I think they weren't used to how much like Tom and Brode and everyone like run around and you know do all that stuff. So they've got all these roving overheads, you know, and it was just too hard to mix.
Sure.
You know, so which that's good. So I think that's kind of been a good thing. Scrap that and just go back to the old, you know, dynamics and
Well, you got to be in your comfort zone too. There's no point going out there and just saying yes to everything because you think it's going to be the best thing. Like, you have to be comfortable in your own skin and your own environment to perform at your best.
Yeah,
I think.
And
like if I was strapped to a mic, I'm
glad that didn't
freeze up.
Glad that didn't hang around for a while. I really have loved the role as playing with Lee's band. You know, I love it because we're sidemen.
Yep.
You know, I love that. I just get there, play some guitar.
Yep.
You know, think about playing guitar more.
Yep.
You know, sing a few harmonies, but it's more of a guitar focus. You know, he wants the solos pretty much record.
Okay.
You know, as they are, and there's a few improv bits and pieces here, but he really likes to keep it as like the record as you can. I love it. Yeah, it's the most fun thing.
Isn't it crazy? Because, you know, obviously I'm in a similar sort of boat too, because I play my own songs, I write my own songs, and I feel like I'm at the centre of the band when we play live. Like, I'm curating the sets. I'm kind of like, it feels like you're in the spotlight all the time and you don't get a chance to just chill and look around and enjoy the moment. Whereas we've done a lot of acts where we get friends from the mainland come down and we'll learn their material. Same sort of bag, right? So you're accompanying and you're supporting this artist that you respect and look up to, but you also get to like sit in the wing a bit and just like groove and just like look at your bandmates and you just like focus on another aspect of your craft. And I think to be able to do that is such a gift. I think to be able to like
love it.
Still perform, still do your thing, but like on a different level of engagement or a different level
absolutely. Yeah, you don't. I think some of the best playing I've done live has been in that situation.
Yep.
You know, where I haven't been thinking. I don't know. It just flows because I'm more relaxed. Yeah. You know. Absolutely. I'm sure we all do the same thing. It's like as soon as there's a muso in the crowd or something, you know, that thing where it just never seems to go.
Yeah.
The fingers just don't seem to flow, you know.
Yeah.
But I seem to get way more into a great headspace when I'm in that more of a sideman role, you know. You would just pull things out like, well, that was cool.
Yeah.
You know? Didn't know I could do that.
If only... I don't know. Do you guys have like a pre-gig kind of like warm-up routine or a little head? Like, do you put yourself into a zone or like?
I mean, nothing like playing wise. We usually have a shot, and do a bit of a huddle,
Yeah.
And then we've kind of been doing the Wolf of Wall Street, chest beating little thing.
Yeah.
And that I'm told there's some bit of science in that, because apparently, like, when gorillas sort of like bash around their chest, it like makes an adrenaline spike or something. So,
All right.
So we do that. We get hyped up,
Yep.
and then go out. But I mean, Casey used to do a lot of practice pad stuff on the drums. But if it's been a long time, maybe you run a few of the harder things just under the fingers before we walk out there, but not really. And I can't remember. I think the last rehearsal we did was when Dave started playing drums for us, which was kind of early last year. We might do a rehearsal when we do a new album. Got a bunch of songs to learn. But for the most part, we're out so much. Like, if we're just going to chuck in a song, we'll go like, everyone prep this, and we'll just run it at sound check before Friday. And then hopefully it's right. But they're never right. They take a couple of gigs to bed in.
But it's part of the beauty of it, I think. Like, if you trust the people in your band, and you trust your own judgment, and you just go with the flow. And sometimes you go, we're not going to pull it out tonight. Like, it doesn't feel right. Let's just stick to what we know. Whereas sometimes I love just putting something on the guys, even without prep. Just going, hey, how's this song, guys? Follow me, God, it's something magical about that. Yeah,
I'd love to do more of that too. Like, I always had a bit of a self-indulgent probably ambition that I would love to do like a blues EP of my own. Maybe not straight like blues, but probably more kind of like somewhere like, I've written a bunch of songs. I went through a little phase a few years ago where I wrote a bunch of kind of, the closest thing I'd probably say would be like Creedence Clearwater Revival style things.
Like a swampy southern kind of...
and then they'd start with the chorus.
Sure.
And there'd be those sort of forms. And there's kind of this, I think there's some good stuff in there, but like that has room for a lot of playing and jamming. And I'd love to do something with that someday, just to, satisfy my guitar player.
It's good to have different projects and different things on the go. Like, I'm sure that the outfit you're in now with the Wolfe Brothers, like it's a thing, and it's sort of, people expect a certain thing as well. Like, it'd be hard, I imagine, to write 100% stream of consciousness and then go, this song's going to be... Whereas, like, you hear someone like Neil Young who just, like, confuses you every time he brings out a record. It's like, wow, he must be really pushing his fans. But I think as a writer, or as someone who likes to write music and likes so many styles of music, I'm sure you're the same. Like, it's nice to just indulge yourself in that way sometimes. Go and play some Warrant. Play your
that'd be
Creedence.
cool. That'd be cool just to do a...
just like a little cover band gig at the local pub and go, let's just...
I mean, we were concerned when we did Kids on Cassette that was kind of a bit of a departure, from what we'd done. Like, definitely went a little bit more pop. But that was kind of what we were listening to at the time. We really got into that show Stranger Things, and a lot of the 80s sounds and stuff from that. And, there's a lot of that happening in pop then and now. And, I really love this band called The Midnight.
Okay.
Who like a, what is it? I think the genre is called retro wave or something like that. So it's like stuff that sounds like it's from the 80s, but it's made now. Wasn't there a John Mayer record in that same sort of vibe? Kind of like that, but this is more like synth, rather than that band Synth has got an extremely awesome guitarist, like doing that sort of like wicked, those chorusy, like arpeggiated kind of beautiful, So they're a very cool band, and also he can really shred as well. So I think they've also got like a sax player and him now. So look out, that's very cool. But they were a big influence when we were doing that. So, but about to release our new record. Well, no, we're not. We're about to release our new single, which will eventually be record. So Living the Dream, it's called. Yeah. And we've definitely gone back to our country. It's probably the most country album we've done. I was talking to Tom about it when we were doing our Beatles seasons
stuff, how he's saying that it was a great learning experience and development of the band, but I think he was saying how he'd love to just get back to that simple dudes in a room playing songs that are close to your heart, that are probably more nostalgic almost in their essence.
We sort of, and we changed. We'd been working with Matt Fell for the last couple of records, who's amazing, who's now moved down to Tassie. You should have him on the podcast, actually.
Oh, yeah, I've hit him up and he's like, I don't know anything about guitars. Like, perfect.
No, it'd be good. It'd be good. It'd be excellent.
Yeah.
We had some great stuff with Matt. And then we thought with this one, I've wanted to do something with Rod McCormack for quite a while. And we worked together on the Lee Kernaghan movie that's just come out in the last year.
Right.
And, man, that guy is like one of almost the best muso like I've ever seen. You know, it's just, you know, there's certain people like you're around, you're like far out. You've just been given. You've worked obviously bloody hard, but they've got something going on that's like,
he's untapped some sort of like natural
Ray Thistlethwaite from Thirsty Mercs, the other guy, like that to like just
he's incredible,
unbelievable. Like, you know, they did a gig at Longley with us, and they got us up to do Rip Wood Chip Turn It Into Paper.
Right.
John Williamson coming, like, okay.
Because they covered it on
and they did like a 2-5-1 thing in it, and you know, jazzed it up a bit, but just like standing next to him, like playing that on the piano, like, God, good God, like you are just another level, you know.
Yeah,
it's awesome. But anyway, Rod, incredible. Like, he's done, you know, a lot of huge stuff of Australian country. Since Australian country's been a thing, you know, he was I think he's played on every single Kernaghan record. You know, he was in the band for the early years. Done a bunch of stuff. He's got a great, amazing studio on the Central Coast. Incredible mics, incredible gear, incredible guitars, and just. But what I really wanted, I thought it would be a good combo in getting, you know. And honestly, I've never had an easier record that we've made.
Great.
And despite like some real challenges, we all got COVID the day we got there.
Right.
You know, we were being so careful, like with masks and gloves and whatever. You know, we're like, God, we've got 2 weeks. We've got to make this. It's the only time we've got. You know, don't get sick. And we get in there one day, and old Tom's sitting there, like, I just don't feel right. And I'm like, oh no. So he goes out to the kitchen, does the old rat, and then he comes back, you know, freaking out, thinking he's, you know, wrecked the whole thing. And Rod's like, no, look, that's fine. I'm happy. We're all going to get it now. We've all been sitting in the control room together here.
Yeah.
You know, we're all going to get it. I'm happy to isolate here with you guys. We'll get Gina Jeffries, his wife, to, you know, go to the Kmart and Purity Woolworths, and you know, get us some stuff. And so Gina went down and, you know, bought some track pants and things like that, and we just stayed in got some air beds.
Oh yeah.
And so I was sleeping in the amp booth. Tom was in the vocal booth, and Rod was out in the kitchen. And man, he just lives and breathes music. That man, like, it'd be like midnight, and I'd be like, yeah, well, I'm going to go to bed, I reckon, Rod. Yeah, mate, yeah, no worries. I'll just do a few more things. And then, you know, an hour later, you'd see the light go off, and then I'd be out cold, and I'd wake up and be like 8 o'clock, and the light's back on in the control room, and he's there and on headphones. Probably been going for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, you're
machine.
You are a machine.
Especially like, you know, trying to survive with a virus going through your body.
Yeah, and so all the vocals on it, I had COVID for.
Wow.
And it didn't really, like, I can tell.
Okay.
I can tell a little bit, but it was never enough to be like, oh no, we got to do that all again.
Yeah, right.
You know, maybe gave me a little bit of a husky vibe, you know, which is pretty cool. So,
but the fact that you guys like were sleeping in the studio,
Oh, yeah.
Like you'd wake up and be like staring at like some old Tweed amps or
Yeah.
just like it's in your face, like you're sleeping in amongst like that'd be obviously not ideal to get COVID while you're there, but to like it's a pretty cool way to actually look at it now, looking back going, you know what, that was a good way to do it.
That was good. Yeah, it was like you don't really get to do that sort of stuff every now and again. Like you don't get to lock down in a thing and just live and breathe making a record. Like when do you ever get to do that?
Yeah, that's right.
There's always life's other commitments, but we were forced to. It's really cool. I think Rod actually loved it.
Yeah, right. Secretly.
so yeah, and then we were a bit worried about like, oh, I'm not sure if we're meant to be doing this, but now you just do whatever you want, so it doesn't really matter. So we weren't going out anywhere. Obviously, we just locked down the studio. But yeah, we're sitting there,
wipe down the mics afterwards.
Yeah, everyone would get fevers and you're like, oh yeah, you're going through the fever day, and then next day someone else. And, it's pretty wild, but got it done, and we're just absolutely stoked with it. Definitely a lot more country. Rod's got beautiful guitars and instruments, and we've got Rod playing a lot on it too, like banjo.
Great.
He's got some fantastic acoustics and great, and that's kind of where I got my interest in rooms now, in good sounding rooms. Rod built that studio himself,
right?
And there's not a parallel wall in the entire building, and I think he's telling me his father-in-law built it or something, and there was just constantly like, are you sure this is right? Like, shouldn't this be straight? But amazing place. So
yeah, right.
Really, and just like often Rod and I co-produced it, and I'd the amount of times I'd go to say something, and then Rod'd just be already doing it.
Great.
So we really were on the exact same page. Very cool. Can't wait to get it out and get playing them live.
Have you got a release date?
We don't. We've got a release date on the single, which will be October 28th.
Okay.
But,
cool.
It'd be interesting, this record, because since the last one, things have changed so much. Like TikTok is now like the driving force.
Yeah.
It was sort of pretty big when we did the last one, but and it's I don't think that's a great thing, but that's kind of what's happening.
Do you think it's going to affect the band and your fans? Like that kind of.
Well, look, we're not going to. You see what people do on there to the trend seems to be like the song's already recorded, fully produced, and everything. Obviously, you see there's heaps, and they're like, "Hey, I think I just wrote this song of summer. What do you think? Check it out. Should we record this and release it?" And it's like fully mastered, fully done. And then people are like, "Whoa, yeah!" And then they go on, and the sense is, we're not going to do that. That's not us. If people want to do that, it's good on them. It's obviously working, but I think we'll just do it in our own way.
Okay.
We're working that out, what that way is.
Right.
But it is interesting. I mean, I don't know that music videos are going to be such a thing anymore.
Yeah, right.
Which sucks too, because that's another whole great part of the art form.
Yeah.
That's probably going to go, because we can just watch these stupid little videos on their phone.
And the aspect ratio is wrong for watching it on a television or a computer too, because if it's built for a device that's going to be upright instead of like a nice big wide screen. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have a presence on there already? Like, a
little bit, but not. It's kind of hard, because it is guys. The stuff that seems to do well is really attractive people, looking longingly into the camera, and Tom and I are going to be doing that clearly, Well, I mean, maybe, but so we've got to find our own thing. But look, again, it's the same thing, the potential for something to go viral or whatever, and then you got a bunch of new fans. How much it converts, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
and how long would that
I don't know that I've discovered anyone on TikTok.
No,
really.
I definitely. Well, I don't do TikTok. I'm one. It's one thing I'm like never going near.
Well, when I say TikTok, I also mean Insta Reels, which is
right.
They've tried to do TikTok and Facebook are doing the same thing. They're all
short little
going
grabs
that way. Yeah, It's not really pictures so much anymore. It's you put up a picture and two people see it. That's the thing I really, really find very frustrating with social media is, we've worked on. I think we've got nearly 100,000 followers on Facebook.
Okay.
They've built up over the years, and that's pretty solid. But you try and tell your Facebook followers there's a gig on. They don't know because they're not shown.
Yeah.
As soon as you say show or gig or album or product, they just go like, no, we're shutting this down. You got to pay us to get the reach.
Yeah, boost the post.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's so frustrating when you're touring because you go to town like it happened the other week. We played in Adelaide, got home day after, and when are you coming to Adelaide? Like, literally have just got home from Adelaide, and we did a sponsored post that should have targeted 100Ks around Adelaide.
Yeah, right.
How did that not hit you? Who's it going to? If it's not going to you, if you're a fan of the band, Anyway, but
it's such a frustrating part of the industry that we just can't ignore.
Yeah. Then again, there's some really cool stuff. Like I've seen a lot of. I said I didn't discover anyone. That's not totally true. There's definitely some guys on Insta and on TikTok that, guitarist. That's a bluegrass guy. I can't remember his name, but he's someone I follow. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And he just puts up little, minute things of him just playing a lot of fast stuff on acoustic, and it's like that's really good. Another guy that did it really well was his first name is Mateus, and he does that bendy, slidey thing. That sort of that. I don't know how they do it, but it's like it kind of seems to be like a technique that's come out in the last couple of years.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Kind of like a Jeff Becky type thing.
Yeah.
They seem to like move the whole guitar. It's like a slide bend.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
What's his name?
So
Landreth.
cool.
From Brothers Landreth. I know that he does a bit of that. And there's this sort of like baritone on a normal scale guitar sort of thing going on, like Ariel Paulson is doing a bit of that.
I don't know how it's just a style of, I think, bending.
And it's just kind of like...
I wish I had an example I could just tell you or show you, but I can't. I've just whenever I hear it a bit on Instagram, and usually the Mateus guy, he does you may have seen it. It's a big, really viral video. He's playing Crowded House, Don't Dream It's Over. It's like a chord solo.
Right.
Amazing. Yeah,
I'll have to look at that.
So I think there probably is good players that.
Oh, there's definitely some great stuff.
There's a lot of shit too that, like, again, people are attractive, just looking lovingly into the lens, and all the old, old guys on the guitar just going like, oh yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the way you played Living on a Prayer solo.
I've been playing that for 50 years.
Mate, beautiful.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Look, it's one of those things. Cool, man. Well, I reckon we should wrap it up.
No worries.
I look forward to hearing the new record, and I'm sure you guys have got lots more shows coming up.
Yeah, always somewhere, mate. We've got this weekend off, but and then we're back into all around the place. We've got a couple of shows in Tas in November. Our last show with Kernaghan down at Tolosa Park.
Oh yeah.
We're stepping back after 10 years, so we can go and do our own thing more.
Yep.
Still, obviously, we love doing it, but you can't be two places at once is the main thing.
Absolutely. There's only one Saturday a week.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. So time's sort of come, but we'll keep doing it. It's been really fun. Really appreciate having me on.
No worries, Nick. Thanks for having us, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks for listening, folks, to another episode of Say It With Guitars. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, share it around to your mates, leave a good review, and hopefully we'll see you next time.